Apparently I take requests now. Don't know how I feel about that. You know what I like? Mario Kart Double Dash. Not only was it the first Mario Kart to stand the test of time, but the game is filled with personality to make up for being light on content. Undoubtedly the biggest standout feature compared to other installments, even today, is playing as two characters at once, one being the driver and one handling items. Finally, I can make my fanfiction dreams come true! What? Also, this happened. Even in the days of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and its booster pass, I still see merit in returning to Double Dash now and then. So, what if we took one of my favorite racers of all time and made it Moe? Gensou Skydrift was recommended to me by someone who never played it. Someone who really likes shouting too. Released in 2019 for the PC and Switch, as well as the PS4 later on, Skydrift is a fan game of everyone's favorite invisible factor, Touhou. Touhou is that overlooked constant in video games. It evolved one of the earliest and most well-known game genres, inspired games that would become world famous, and defined bullet hell. Yet it also has no presence here in the West outside of some weird material. Breaking the fourth wall here for a second, I showed this to my friend who is a Touhou fan, and he had an interesting reaction. Fortunately, he's busy right now, so I don't have to worry about... I've dabbled into a bit of Touhou myself, and by that I mean just the 10th game, but I never found the need to spend an extensive amount of time on it, let alone a fan game. And then I saw some gameplay and learned some developers were involved in Mario Kart and decided, fuck it, why not? That white randomizer can wait. The shot reminds me a lot of Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. Here we have 3 modes. Racing with a story, racing, solo racing. There's an online mode, but what kind of online attention could a fan game get? Yeah, I thought so. A dark shadow is causing people everywhere to lose their spiritual power, so, Ryu and Ken race to get to the bottom of why, teaming up to amplify the power they still have, and by that I mean Ken is a hoverboard. Ken is a hoverboard. One character serves as the vehicle for the other. 10 out of 10, best game of all time. The first course is Mari's Circuit. Oh, come on. You knew what you were doing, you blatant sons of bitch. If you've played a kart racer before, you should be able to dive right in. A accelerates and the left stick steers. Weirdly enough, the B button drifts. I would have thought they'd use one of the triggers, but those have their own functions. What's even weirder is that the drift has no boost. You don't power slide, but you do build a bit of magic. The only reason I can think of why is because the rings all around the course. These give you a speed boost and fill your magic meter. Once full, you can press the R button for a spell card. The spell cards are this game's items. They can give you a speed boost, attack other racers, do... something. Every character has their own unique spell card they get when they're not doing well. They're usually blue shell clones, but some are more unique, like Sakia stopping time for 6 seconds. It's not as useful as it sounds. Or Yukari teleporting ahead a couple of places. The game even calls it Border of Cheats and Fouls. That's brilliant. Provided it doesn't fail like 8 times. The L button swaps your character positions, and I have to give Skydrift some credit here. Back in Double Dash, only your kart determines your stats. This game actually takes both characters into account, and forming the right combination can be the difference between first and second place. Assuming you're playing with the right comms. 3 is the default skill level, and it can either be, are they even trying? Or, how are they trying? That second one may be the fault of the level design, but I'll get to that later. One important thing to note is that the second character determines your current stats. Right now, Marisa is on the bottom, so my speed is pretty high but my drift is eh. With Reimu on the bottom, my stats are balanced. Never choose a combo without decent drifting. If a character like Ramelia is the board on an unlockable course,
you're screwed. Yeah, you're totally screwed.
Mario Circuit here is actually a pretty good starting course. It's simple but still engaging, and I have a thing for loops in my racetracks. I did find it weird how the controller HUD was on screen when I already did some practice though. Ryu and Ken go to the Forest of Magic, spurring Luigi and Piracy Guard to start chasing down the Shadow in the same way. This is getting more and more like Sonic Rivals. We have the same goal, why is this a competition? The Forest of Magic, besides a tunnel and some flashy graphics, is a pretty basic course. Heck, it's actually shorter than Mario Circuit. Apparently this tunnel has some collision issues. Reimu and Marisa just sort of disappear for a while. For the human village, we actually take control of Sane and Suwako. The only meaningful thing I have to say about them is that Suwako is slow as shit. A lot of characters feel the same as one another, and this works out for good characters like Mario, Luigi, Kara, Toby Fox, and the Big-Lipped Alligator. Not so much if you like vampires. Yuri and Theater Kid happen to be here in the village and race us. It's a fine enough course, nothing too complicated, although I feel like I could find a better fitting piece of music. There, much better. For some reason, we enter the Scarlet Devil Mansion, getting the attention of a spear and someone who likes to give life advice and dab. Yes, this is real. What the hell are these tags? Let the Scarlet Devil Mansion be a precursor of what's to come later. It's got a ton of 90-degree turns and is a bit on the longer side. You're playing as Koichi and... Kokoro? Korok Seed. Keep Koichi on the bottom when you're not on straightaways, because Korok sucks at drifting. This won't be the last time I have to say something along those lines. The mansion does have a funky music track though. Aside from the menu, cutscenes, and credits, the OST is all remixes from older games. As someone who has barely heard the old songs, if at all, some of these tracks are fine while others are great. My favorites are Septet for a Dead Princess, Yokai Mountain, Bloom Nobly, Ink Black Cherry Blossom, Border of Life. Why are these names so long? And Eastern Heaven of Scarlet Perception. A couple themes remind me of both Flame Stag from Mega Man X2 and Sonic Forces at the same time. Talk about a contrast. While the music is good, the rest of the production values are... questionable. The CGs are excellent and the models are fine, but they're deader than me. I feel so accomplished. The models don't emote, there's no voice acting, a couple of courses are suffering the attack of the pixels. Oh god, it's spreading. And while some courses are pretty, the others are Misty Lake. The N64 could make more detailed environments. Getting back to the story, we run into Playboy Shot and I Don't Have a Name for You, our first unlockable characters. Now, I wouldn't quite know for sure since I went through the campaign in one take, but I think once you beat an unlockable character, they join the roster. The Lost Bamboo Thicket is a pretty curvy course with some sneaky shortcuts, and it's pretty great at showing the dynamic between Remilia and Sakia without screwing one of them over. Where one fails, the other flourishes. Remilia is fast but can't drift to save her life. Sakia has incredible magic and drift, but is really slow. Being able to use these characters correctly can make them some of the best in the game. Otherwise, just stick with Sakia on the bottom. So Kid Dracula and her babysitter go up to Yokai Mountain looking for answers, and they find who else but the Torrent Masters as they try to check out the factory up here. Yokai Mountain is pretty boring. You curve through some drab mountains and get attacked by pixels as you enter the drab factory. You're still playing as Remilia and Sakia, but I find this course one of the less punishing ones for Remilia. If Miiverse was still around, nobody would talk about this game. The water doesn't look that good. Thanks to a sudden power boost on a temple, we find ourselves on top of a Skies of Arcadia reference. Ever play Skies of Arcadia? I started it last year but didn't get far before stopping. Don't know why. Seiren-sen is one of my favorite courses. Being able to scour the entirety of a flying ship, and I do mean the entirety, It's like a more realized airship fortress. You know, without the fortress. You're once again in control of Sane and Sawako here, and both Tempest 2000 and Rules Car join in. Now, this power-stealing shadow that's absorbing energy supposedly doles it out to the weaker, essentially making it a malevolent Robin Hood. Doesn't make much sense to me either, but it supposedly creates the next course, Hakugyokodo. How do you say that? This course is beautiful. The massive cherry blossom and the one twisting path are a sight to behold. Actually playing it, it's fine. It goes for a start to finish setup like Mount Wario from Mario Kart 8. They just forgot to add depth. Yeah, it's pretty and filled with twists and turns, but this is all there is. It's rather shallow and pretty short. You play as Nue and Futo, the former being a more balanced Sawako, while the latter... Rules card. How long do you think they're gonna fall? Everyone reunites in Hell, and the game is over. Okay, but for real, the next course takes place in Blazing Hell. This game was rated E, by the way. Looks like you have competition for edgiest E-rated game, Secret Rings. How fitting that we're in Hell, because this track gave me hell. This right here is why you need a good drifting character. The course is filled with short 90-degree turns that murder the Scarlets, Clorox, even Marisa struggles with them. There's also a coiling curve up halfway through the course, and an area of tiny platforms with lava spewing at certain points, like a more dangerous Bowser Castle 3 from Super Mario Kart, and it's easy to slip off. Actually, this course makes me think of Bowser's Castle a lot. Admittedly, it is satisfying when I take small shortcuts by barely flying over gaps, but I wouldn't be doing that if the design wasn't so sadistic. At least that's as bad as it gets. Yeah. The cause of all this was the world's worst math teacher and a living Uno reverse card. I can't make this shit up. On the Touhou wiki, Seija stated to think the opposite way as everyone else, so nobody likes her. Hence why she wanted to reverse everyone's power levels. She's just a bitch like that, and Cerno went along with it because she's dumb. The game really likes to emphasize that part of her character. It's a miracle she can read. Naturally, such weird people would be easy fodder for Mario and Wario, but this course didn't think so at first. Misty Lake... I'm sorry, I need to do it again. Never gets old. The level design here is straight out of a stage builder. I mean, no unassuming person will know they have to turn in midair almost as soon as the race begins. There's no ice physics to worry about, thankfully, and this course isn't quite as mean as the last one. Despite stopping the villain, this game isn't over. Hit campaign again, and we play as Cerno and Seija for the entire second round. They actually work out well together. Cerno is fast, but doesn't suck that much at turning. Seija turns great and isn't that slow. The second campaign is really silly. Cerno and Seija go to everyone they faced before and saddle the boar. I mean rattle the door. I mean paddle the core. These are real quotes. The other characters aren't really doing anything either. The only connection to the first story is that Miss Miracote got her inverting power amplified by the Miracle Mallet, which sounds like a Kirby weapon, which was used by Aunt Sam to create an amusement park. Why does that matter? Because Reimu is sick of getting complaints from the Moon people. This game is losing me. The second batch of tracks isn't much to write home about either, especially with how many original themes it really has. We have the human village and Yokai Mountain again. Instead of the mansion, we go through the Vola Library. Look at this map! This isn't a racetrack, it's double deck! I had no clue where I was going when I first played this game, and I still won with ease. Not even the comms knew what to do. I got used to it, but does that make it good? Ha! No! Mario Circuit 2 has a lot more curves than before. Old Capital has an annoying zigzag section, goes over rooftops that the less Wario will fall off of, and took another section from Bowser's Castle. Stay on the top half here, it saves time. Underworld Lava Depths is a slightly nicer Embers of Blazing Hell. Still has its teasing 90-degree turns, but less of them. The outside world looks cool, and I'd normally be able to pass it off as a tough yet fun enough course. If it wasn't for blocks. If you're unlucky, this large object will block your path, because everyone loved waiting for the Calamari Desert Train. Moonlight Thicket is just ovals. Fortunately, after a sea of mediocrity, we enter the Sea of Tranquility. This is the best course in the game. It's beautiful, varied, challenging but fair, A perfect way to end the campaign instead of with a Sonic tutorial stage. Finishing both campaigns will have everything unlocked. Wolpertinger, Master Ogway, and Cerno, but less dumb, big-lipped alligators in the second campaign become unlocked, as well as Dementio, Clown Piece, Antimatter, and whoever these girls are. I don't know, they weren't in the campaign. Also not in the campaign were the redevelopment areas, Heaven, and Cerno Circuit. Why does Cerno get her own circuit? The redevelopment areas have the same layout, but you traverse them differently. I wouldn't say anything is outwardly dickish, but there's still a lot to get used to. Heaven is Yokai Mountain done right. A long but not boring course with a kick-ass BGM, and then there's Cerno Circuit. Take a set piece from an actual Mario circuit, plop it in and make the course more narrow. That's what you get. The only other thing left is the gallery. You can listen to music, stare at the models, and read the track descriptions.
Rinosuke Morichika, the owner of Korindo, woke up one morning to find a vast racing circuit laid out in front of him. Nearby, an empty box lay on its side, labeled Kappa Brand Instant Obstacle Course Kit. A mansion known for the vampires who live there. Apparently, they're even willing to open it to the public for their own amusement. Still, in the library there are bombs going off, beams being shot, spears being thrown. No wait, is that last one the mistress? Deep in the bamboo thicket, where humans and yokai alike get lost. Energized by the incident and without direction, the fairies figured they might as well make a racetrack. Now even the rabbits are lost. The desolate mountains, long inhabited by Tengu. Naturally, the real estate value has plummeted. They say the Kappa have set up an industrial district behind the waterfall. With more power than she knew what to do with, Cerno immediately set about making a magnificent ice castle. When it didn't turn out quite as she hoped, she shrugged and made it a racetrack instead.
Actually a remix from a game called I.
The underground city of the Oni, built over the remains of Old Hell. The streets are lined with tasteful paper lanterns. According to the track maintenance Oni, dozens of barrels of sake were prepared as compensation, but they ran out overnight. With the magical power of a mallet in her hand, Clown Piece decided to build an amusement park that she had dreamed of. The problem is location. Hell is kind of noisy. Well, what about that place we went to the other day? And the complaints of the moon inhabitants went to Reimu. The engine humming, the heat of the asphalt spilling out, the sound of the gasoline beating as if shaking the earth. To determine the fastest machine, the men now gather to decide the winner of the fastest car. Such a cool song, but it's all wrong.
Man, I thought Sonic Riders was limited. Gensou Skydrift tries, it really tries. There are some great ideas here, like better incorporating the idea of two characters at once than its direct inspiration, the magic rings which makes the game fast and fluid, and there are some great tracks here and there. However, I can't ignore the wonky presentation, the questionable level design, or the drought in content, and that drought in content makes the $24 price tag pretty sketchy. I had a good time, and you don't need to be a Touhou fan to enjoy this game. But if you aren't a Touhou fan, there's no reason to play this over better, more polished racing games that hover around the same price. I bought the game on sale for $7, so I say swoop in when you see a price drop if you're interested enough. Hopefully I don't get shot with 10,000 bullets for not giving this game a 10 out of 10 Mario Kart killer. Well, that was my first proper request. Nice distraction, all things considered. Maybe taking more of those won't be so bad. Yeah, no, fuck this. I'm not taking requests for the next year. See ya!